Yeah.
Game over. Game over. Lights out. You've just been completely obliterated publicly. With your
Cool.
wait, you've been caught. You've been folded like a chair, caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
Darth, do you hear me? Okay. Well, first and foremost, one second, just one second. Yeah, first and foremost, I would like to apologize. We talked last night. Do you remember?
I'm not looking at my screen. What's your name?
My name is Explicit. We talked last night. I want to apologize to you.
I don't remember for what.
Well, you just server muted me because I was being like a little bit argumentative and all that. But we had actually a good conversation. You actually complimented me before. So yeah, I just want to apologize. I was being a little bit argumentative. That's why you muted me, but it's all good, okay?
Well, water under bridge. I don't even remember.
Okay, that's all good. So
I deal with so many people that are problematic. I don't take notes. Unless
but they don't
of course,
apologize to you.
Total logic. Okay.
Can I ask a question that's unrelated to this topic? If you want to just like get to a different topic.
Yeah. Go ahead.
People that have like acted rudely towards you or something in the past, or trolled you, and you've been like you server muted them or something, or kicked them out. Have you ever reconciled with them?
Yeah, there have been a number of people that we've had that situation. Yeah.
Okay. Would you be willing to reconcile with me if I apologized?
Well, why do I need to be reconciled when are you banned in here? Yeah, you're here now.
No, I'm not
right?
banned. I got server muted and you stopped talking to me because a situation happened. I talked to you like a couple days ago. I just want to like reconcile with you and like apologize.
Well, I don't recall what transpired, and as long as you're behaving yourself now, I'm fine with you.
Well, because I don't want to like be one of those people that goes on a different account to talk to you. I'm like Aizen. I debated you a couple days ago. It's on Tom Rabbit's channel, but I just want to like say sorry. I was like being a bit argumentative.
That's fine. I don't even remember it, and as long as you're typical mentality. So when they resort to defending the explication or exegesis of the verse, they almost always go to an appeal to theology or philosophy. So I said to him, I want you to show me from the context that this means this. So he appealed to a couple of verses back in John 37, where it says, all or everything that the Father gives to me will come to me, and the one who comes to me I will not cast out. So he was relying on the first part of this verse. All that the Father gives to me will come to me, right? And so what he's saying is that the giving of the Father necessitates that they will come. And I said he's committing an error in modal logic, okay?
Can I ask a question that's unrelated to this topic? If you want to just like get to a different topic.
Yeah. Go ahead.
People that have like acted rudely towards you or something in the past, or trolled you, and you've been like you server muted them or something, or kicked them out. Have you ever reconciled with them?
Yeah, there have been a number of people that we've had that situation. Yeah.
Okay. Would you be willing to reconcile with me if I apologized?
Well, why do I need to be reconciled when are you banned in here? Yeah, you're here now.
No, I'm not
right?
banned. I got server muted and you stopped talking to me because a situation happened. I talked to you like a couple days ago. I just want to like reconcile with you and like apologize.
Well, I don't recall what transpired, and as long as you're behaving yourself now, I'm fine with you.
Well, because I don't want to like be one of those people that goes on a different account to talk to you. I'm like Aizen. I debated you a couple days ago. It's on Tom Rabbit's channel, but I just want to like say sorry. I was like being a bit argumentative.
That's fine. I don't even remember it, and as long as you're, unless I remember you by your username and I remember it vividly with bad conduct, you don't have anything to worry about.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you thought I was doing
Okay.
bad conduct. I just want to apologize, and yeah,
Okay,
let's just.
fine. Listen,
Okay, good.
whatever. I'm cool with you now. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Well, the actual question I wanted to ask you is, the argument you gave me for the existence of God the other day. The first premise, I saw it as a tautology. Do you think it's not a tautology?
Are you talking about when I said that um, when I said in the case that the Christian God exists and he produces a phenomenon that necessarily entails him, then he would exist. P1.
Yeah,
And then
I think that's a tautology.
P2. Yeah, and it's a good thing that you're raising this, okay? Because there's somebody here that I had a lengthy discussion about, and he corrected me on a few things, and I accepted what he had to say, and then I corrected him, and we agreed, and we can discuss this momentarily. Okay, so are you saying then that it's tautological because God is smuggled into the premises?
Well, obviously, God's going to be in the premises. I'm saying I think the existence of God is smuggled into the premises.
Okay, which premise do you have in mind?
And let me just write this down so I can accurately quote you. Can you just repeat it one time so I can just accurately quote you?
Yeah, let me see. I think I said, in the case that the Christian God exists and he produces a phenomenon that necessarily entails him, then we would know that he exists. There is a phenomenon that necessarily entails him, therefore he exists. Now,
Okay, I got it down. I got it down.
okay, so let me just make this qualification. Okay, whatever the premises are,
Mm-hmm.
they will either, in an enthymeme, in an unstated premise that
Yep.
may be flying low below the radar, they will either presuppose the existence of God or they will presuppose the non-existence of God. So, because God being defined as the ground of all things. Now, the question is the conclusion smuggled into the premise in the form of circularity in terms of vicious circular reasoning or virtuous? Okay, because there
Oh,
there can be virtuous circular reasoning. So, for example,
okay.
and by the way, I can use the example of somebody trying to defend sense perception. I'm going to have to take more notes. There's a
I can give you an
secular
example.
author. No, hold on a second. There is a secular philosopher who's an expert on the issue of sense perception, who pointed out that you cannot argue for sense perception without first presupposing it.
Darth
Exactly.
But
And I
but
also think that you can't argue
hold
for
on a second.
causality using.
Do you understand that there's a difference between vicious and virtuous circularity? So, for example,
Yep.
when it comes to defending the Christian worldview, it's going to entail ontology and epistemology. So Van Til says this in defense of virtuous circularity. Right?
In
It's
which
not a
book?
okay. Okay. It is the starting point, the method, and the conclusion all depend upon each other. Okay, let me repeat that. Now, it's not you're not going to comprehend what this means just by hearing me say it, but it takes a while to digest it. The starting point, the method, and the conclusion all are involved with each other. They all depend upon each other. You can't do without it. Okay? So when we are dealing with the ultimate truth, okay, of whatever is, right? Let's say that's the conclusion, right? The starting point that we have, let's say, of approximate starting point, and our method by which we conclude to the ultimate metaphysical starting point, which would be the ultimate truth, they all involve each other. It's inescapable. So it's not vicious circularity.
Okay.
It is only when we're dealing with something that is not transcendentally necessary that it becomes vicious. Okay?
Okay.
So in one sense, God is not smuggled in, but in another sense, he's there because in the Christian position, God is the necessary precondition for every premise that is actual, because without which you couldn't invoke it. But the same would be true uh, of the not God position as well.
Okay.
So if they complain, if they complain that down deep there, any premise that I believe must presuppose the existence of God for whatever reason, they would be correct. But you see, they would be guilty of the same thing as well, because if they do not accept that God is by virtue of whatever my reasoning is, and they hold to the not God position, then either their not God position is vacuous, right, or they are concluding God by presupposing in the premises not God.
Okay. Can I respond now?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't want to interrupt you when you're talking. Okay. So let me just get this straight. So let me just clear this up a little bit because the last time that we debated, seemingly you were arguing that your position wasn't circular, but now it seems like you're agreeing that it's circular. It's just
In
okay in
one
your case.
sense, it is not. In one sense, it is. In one sense, it is not. Now,
What's the sense in which it's
okay? Do you
not?
understand? Okay, do you understand? Okay, do you understand that whether we conclude God or not God, the premises will always presuppose the conclusion in the premises.
I don't think so. No,
Oh, it most certainly is. Okay. So
I don't think so.
for example, okay, listen. If you conclude not God, right? You're going to have as an enthymeme, as an unstated premise that's flying low below the radar. You're going to have to presuppose not God for the grounding of those premises, because either God or not God is the ultimate metaphysical grounding for any premises.
Okay. The thing is, you said there's a way in which your argument is circular and a way in which it's not. What's the
Yeah.
way in which it's not circular?
Okay. So when we look at the statement, okay, at face value, the second premise would be there is a phenomenon that necessarily entails God. Okay. So what we do not have is an explicit, overt invoking that God exists.
Oh, I don't think
Okay.
there's any difference. It's circular in both cases.
Okay. So the point is this.
You understand what I said?
You're yeah, repeat what you said.
Oh, thank you. So
What is
I don't think
circular in
there's any
both cases?
difference. Sorry? Sorry, what was that? You said
So
something?
so there at a the premise does not explicitly invoke God.
Yeah,
Okay?
but it's
So
still
we don't
circular.
listen carefully.
Hmm.
Does the second premise explicitly invoke the existence of God?
Yes.
How?
Because for a phenomenon to exist that
Hmm.
entails God, it has to derive from God, right? So just
No, no,
invoking that phenomenon. One second, one second.
that would
Sorry,
be a
sorry.
conclusion that you're making. Okay,
Wait, Darth,
all we
you
can
you
just simply
interrupted
say
me.
it. Yeah, no, but you see,
You interrupted me.
that is not. I know that because you're making a mistake.
Can you
Okay,
not interrupt me next time?
you did this before. Okay, you brought up the same thing. The point is, it doesn't
Ugh.
matter. It doesn't matter what the entailment is. Okay, if I said there is a phenomenon that necessarily implies God, does that statement include an overt, explicit invocation of God? Is it
Well, what
explicit?
would be an explicit invocation if that's
Is
not
it,
explicit?
listen, here's the question. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to answer the question. Does P2 explicitly invoke the existence of God?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, what would be an explicit invocation?
And
What would that look
explicit,
like?
because it was, if I said in the P2, God exists. But
No,
God
that would be your
exists in
conclusion.
P2 is not explicit.
Okay, how about this? I'll just concede on that, right? It's an implicit invocation. It's still circular though.
Right,
Doesn't
right.
matter.
But you see,
Doesn't
here's the
matter.
problem. But here's the problem. Okay, but it's not vicious circularity, and let me explain why to you.
Sure, sure. I
It's
understood that.
because when it comes to whatever is ultimately true, if you reason for what is ultimately true, whatever premises that you deploy in order to reach the conclusion will, at a flying below the radar, will implicitly include that. Otherwise, they don't mean anything. Now, so if you argue for, if you, there's only two positions that we can take. We can take the positive position that God exists, or we take the position God does not exist. Withholding judgment of God is a myth. Okay. Now,
Sure. I mean, I don't think this is related though.
good.
This
So
is
good.
not the same.
So now, do you object to those who attempt a syllogistic defense of the non-existence of God?
Wait, what was the question again? Repeat that.
Do you object to anyone who provides a syllogism for the and concludes not God?
I don't object to it. I don't even know what you mean by that.
Okay. Are they guilty of the circular reasoning that you are accusing me of?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, they are. They would have to be. It necessarily follows.
What's the argument for
Because
that?
if not, because not God would be what would be ultimate, right? We have God, not God. Okay. So
Okay, can I ask you a
not
question now? You've
whatever
asked me multiple.
not God. Listen to me. Whatever not God is, okay. Whatever not God is, it would be fundamental or ground. Okay, that world. Okay, so the conclusion is not God. Right now. So what this means
That's a
is that
contradiction in
whatever.
terms.
Listen to me
It's a
carefully.
contradiction.
Listen to me. This is why it's so troublesome with you because you're not following me.
You've
Okay.
asked me like 10 questions and I
Listen,
can't
look
ask
at
you one.
you're bickering with me because I understand what I'm talking about and you don't.
Okay, but
Okay?
you've asked me 10 questions. Can I
Listen
ask you one?
carefully. Listen, my in a moment.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
If somebody includes if somebody concludes not God, right? The premises will either presuppose God or not God. This is unescapable. Okay?
Sure.
Right. So, if the premises include God either explicitly or implicitly, like I said, flying below the radar. Okay, if it presupposes God, right, then it would contradict the conclusion, wouldn't it?
I don't think arguments for atheism presuppose
Listen to
not
me
God.
carefully. P1 or P2
Oh my God.
will either presuppose at a fundamental level in an enthymeme. It will either presuppose God or not God, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well
Can I tell you
see
why?
now I'm understanding why we're having a problem here because
Can
you're
I
not
explain my
getting this.
position to you?
Listen to me carefully. Listen to
No,
me carefully. Listen to me carefully.
I am.
Every proposition will either presuppose God or not God.
I don't think so. Can I explain why?
Okay, no, you can't. Okay, it's
So I
the
can't
law of
explain my
excluded middle
position. Thanks.
because it's the law of excluded middle.
That begs the question against dialetheism.
No, 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 no. Okay, dialetheism is something that's not defensible.
How so? Prove that.
How would you instantiate? Okay,
Asking me a question isn't answering the question I asked you.
right. Why? Because when you say there are some contradictions, okay, that it's possible that there are some contradictions, on what basis do you say that?
Why would that matter?
Because you're taking the position
I
that
didn't take that position.
dialetheism, okay, 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 are you a dialetheist?
No,
Okay, good. Then you're doing a body double here. Okay, I don't deal
no,
with body doubles. Okay, that's
not
not
what
your
I did.
position. Good, good.
I
Now
didn't
here's the
invoke
problem.
dialetheism as a
Listen
potential
to me
absolute.
carefully. Listen
I
carefully.
am
Okay.
listening carefully.
Now, do you accept the law of excluded middle?
Yeah.
Okay. So any proposition in terms of an enthymeme will either presuppose God or not.
No, I don't think so. Can I
Okay.
explain
Well,
why?
okay, listen to me. You can't because
Okay,
now
so
you
I'm
did you
not
tell
allowed to
me
explain.
did you just tell me you accept the law of excluded middle?
Yeah.
Okay. Now all I've simply done is I filled in the values for the law of
I
excluded
think
middle.
that's a
Okay.
false
A or
dichotomy.
not A?
Can I explain why?
No, no, no. Is the law of excluded middle a false dichotomy?
I can explain why?
Is the law of excluded middle a false dichotomy?
No,
Okay. Now, all I've done is I filled in the values. Okay. X will either presuppose God or not.
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I explain why? Are
Okay. Now we're done. You're an idiot. Okay. You're done. See you later.
you going to mute me?
No, we're done, sir. You ended up in the same way. You're obtuse. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all I've simply done, see, this is a common thing when people get confronted with a true dichotomy and they don't want to accept it because of the implications, they say it's a false dichotomy. But
Okay.
you see, if I say to you, okay, a premise will either be A or not A. All I have to do is say the premise either presupposes God or not. So all I've simply done is I filled in the value for A. Something is either A or not A. A premise will either presuppose God or not. So it is a true dichotomy. Are we clear now?
Yeah, can I give my concluding statement? Because you
Okay,
said we're
so
done.
were you wrong when you said it's a false dichotomy?
No.
Okay, we're done. Thank you. Okay, all right. Yeah, this is why it's a waste of time talking with them. Okay. Anybody want to care to comment on this colossal disaster of stupidity on his part? He can't make up his mind whether it's a true dichotomy or not. Okay? If I say a premise or a proposition will either presuppose God or not presuppose God, that is a classic example of the law of excluded middle. All I've simply done is I've filled in a value for A. Okay? Something, a premise, will either presuppose A or not presuppose A. Okay? Law of excluded middle. Right?
So there's no way he could have anything to say about that. So I wonder how broken it is what he does have to say.
Well, look, I dealt with him before, and he's a bit obtuse. Now, whether it's inadvertent or it's purposely, I don't know. I'll leave that judgment up to you. Okay?
Could we hear him,
But-
Darth? Could we just hear him out for a second, please?
Okay.
Would that be all right?
No, you did hear him out, and he's purposely bickering with me. Okay? It's very simple, esoteric. Okay? Do you accept the law of excluded middle, esoteric?
Well, I do, yeah.
Okay. So something is either A or not A. Okay? That's the law of excluded middle. Now, the something can be a premise in a syllogism. Okay? A premise will either be A or not A. Okay? Is that a true dichotomy?
Well, it depends what the A's are.
Okay. No,
I
sir.
think.
No, it doesn't matter. A premise
Okay.
will either be A or not A. Is that a true dichotomy?
Yeah, it's a true dichotomy.
Yeah, well, it is, yeah. I agree. Darth,
Okay. So I'm just going to fill in a value for A. Either a premise will presuppose God or not, which would be the same thing as not God.
yeah. Okay, so I'm not presupposing God then, yeah, okay.
Okay, but we're not talking about that right now. What
Well,
we're
but you
talking
are,
about,
and I'm not.
what we're
I'm not
all
doing it. Well, I'm
listen
not
to
doing
me.
it. I'm
Okay,
not
goodbye.
screwing it. Right, fine.
Goodbye. You want to be an argumentative little British clown? Go ahead. Go pound sand. Okay. We're not playing this little game. Okay. I'm more than welcome people to disagree, but when you're just being deceitfully bickering with me, then I don't have any patience for this. Okay. So the fact of the matter is, if I say that a premise will either presuppose God or not, it's a true dichotomy. And this clown, Aizen, said it's not a true dichotomy, and it is. So if he's objecting that God deep down is presupposed by moi or anyone else defending the Christian worldview, because we believe that premises cannot be invoked as actual unless God exists and he reveals himself. And they say that's circular. But you see, that would also apply to the converse position as well. Okay. So God is not explicitly in there, but God is in there in an implicit premise, just like the not God syllogism will implicitly down deep presuppose not God. Because if they presupposed God in
Whenever you're ready, I'm recording now.
All right. Well, in the debate I had with Darth today in Atheist Helpline, the most important thing to note was that he asked me around 20 questions, and I wasn't able to ask him any, right? And the discussion was just pertaining to the circularity of the argument he rendered, in which P1 was that if God exists, there will be a phenomenon that necessarily indicates his existence, and that is that we'll know he exists. P2, that phenomenon has occurred. Conclusion, God exists. We had a prior discussion where I pointed out how this argument question begs and is circular, and he seemingly contended against that point for the entirety of the debate, which is a bit weird because today he accepts that circularity and just says it's virtuous. And the notable flaw within this line of reasoning is that I don't see any reason why virtuous circularity, which Darth defines as necessary circularity, in which God, therefore God, or atheism, therefore atheism, would be virtuous, whereas Martians, therefore Martians, or T-shirts, therefore T-shirts, would be vicious. I don't see any reason why we should accept virtuous circularity just because it's necessary. And I would tell you Dart's answer to this question, but the thing is, he didn't allow me to ask this question, right? I got kicked out right before that happened. The second thing is he sort of renders belief in God
by plugging in values for the law of excluded middle, which is just a conflation of epistemology and ontology, right? Whether or not God exists is a true dichotomy, but whether or not you believe in him or have a belief state in its existence is not a true dichotomy, right? And I tried to point this out, but it's a bit difficult when you're over speaking like 30 times throughout the course of the debate. So yeah, I mean, I think the most notable things to remember from that debate we had today, which will probably be our last since he recognizes my voice now and will kick me out of any room I'm in with him. The most notable thing to remember is that he won't let me go on any lines of questionings because he knows it's devastating to his position, and the only thing he can do is ask me many questions on topics that aren't relevant, like how my deism grounds intelligibility, things like that. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the last time I'll talk to Darth, at least if I don't get a voice changer. But yeah, I mean, that's my closing statement. And my bad if it's not that good. I didn't think it through, but I think I pointed out everything that I needed to.
No, that's great. Obviously, you didn't get the chance to say it because he kicked you off stage, and I wanted you to give that so I can put it on the video. So yeah.